The WNBA ratings across the league dropped by over 50% when Caitlin Clark was out with injury, and this is obviously such a crucial time and a crucial year for the league because they go into CBA negotiations at the end of the year.
Caitlin Clark's absence has ripped the curtain back on the WNBA's single-player dependency in the bluntest way possible. The moment she shifted from court to injury list, league-wide ratings didn't dip, they cratered. National broadcasts that averaged 1.81 million viewers with Clark in uniform instantly fell to 847,000 without her.
It sucks because I do not want to continue to watch this team without Caitlin Clark. I just got to be honest. I miss watching 22 play. I hope she's back this week. I hope she can make it back Thursday or at least Saturday.
A 55% collapse unmatched in modern team sports. That gulf isn't a rounding error. It's a flashing red warning light that the league's growth narrative rests on one 22-year-old rookie's health. The numbers off the court tell the same grim story. Ticket prices for Fever Road games were trading above $860 when Clark was expected to play. Once her groin strain hit the injury report, market prices slid to roughly $250.
As you can see, when she was getting up from that play, she has a look on her face like she is in a lot of pain. Erica Wheeler is helping her up here. She grabs her leg as well, but you can just see she says ow. She's kind of limping to the bench.
In Chicago, a Sky Fever rematch once touted as the season's hottest ticket crashed from $210 to $95 overnight, leaving half-empty lower bowls where sold-out crowds were projected just days earlier. A 71% haircut in gate value speaks louder than any press release.
The expected happened, lads, and in a shock to absolutely nobody, Caitlin Clark is out for tonight's game against the Minnesota Lynx. And unfortunately, it means realistically Caitlin Clark's playing for nothing this year.
Clark's economic gravity is impossible to overstate. Independent estimates peg her at 26.5% of all WNBA revenue activity. Broadcast eyeballs, merchandise, social engagement, secondary ticketing, you name it. Strip that pillar away, and the league's business model shakes like a cheap marquee in a windstorm. Fanatics sales show her jerseys outselling the next 4 players combined. When she sits, online purchases drop 48% in less than a fortnight. That slump flows straight into revenue-sharing pools that fund player bonuses and league initiatives.
At this point, we just don't know if we can trust what's actually coming out of the organization, but it's hard to trust that Coach Steph White didn't know about this until last night. She didn't know that anything was going on, especially with Caitlin taping her leg, Caitlin playing the way that she is.
None of this should surprise league executives because the warning signs were obvious. In her first month as a pro, Clark absorbed 5 of the season's 30 flagrant fouls, 4 courtesy of Chicago defenders, while the league office stuck to polite statements about competitive play.
Lobo did mention how Caitlin Clark is a player who does get covered more physically because of the way she plays, and very often referees won't call every ticky-tack foul, or they'll be a lot more lenient towards this issue because Caitlin Clark does push off more.
That laissez-faire approach effectively painted a target on the back of the athlete driving record television deals. The NBA has a long history of whistling hard fouls on marquee talent before it becomes a pattern. Here, the pattern formed first, and the whistle rarely followed. Fans noticed, social channels filled with a simple ultimatum: no Clark, no watch. Informal boycotts amplified the viewership freefall across every non-Fever broadcast.
If a player like SGA can get all these fouls called, maybe the refs should call them similarly for Caitlin. Because if the players defending Clark know that they're going to get a whistle every time they hand check her or cover her physically, they will probably do it a lot less.
Even neutral matchups suffered double-digit drops. For a league approaching critical collective bargaining negotiations, that viewer exodus is more than embarrassing. It's existential. Lower ratings weaken ad sales leverage, which flattens salary cap projections, which ultimately shrinks every player's future paycheck. Competitive envy turns to collective anxiety when dwindling eyeballs threaten team budgets. Sponsors share that anxiety. Blue-chip brands signed multi-year packs last winter expecting Clark-powered audiences. Most contracts contain ratings, guarantees that convert into make-goods when numbers miss. Every game she misses inflates the liability column, forcing the league to hand back ad inventory or cash credits. Quiet boardroom conversations have already started weighing short-term losses against long-term exposure, and accountants rarely choose sentiment over spreadsheets. Meanwhile, Clark's health timeline remains opaque.
I give the Fever a 10% chance with a hobbled Caitlyn, a 30% chance with a healthy Caitlyn, and a 0.1 or 1% chance right now.
Medical analysts caution that groin injuries compounded by an earlier quad strain can linger if rushed, yet the commercial pressure to see her back before the All-Star break grows louder each day. Sit her for 3 weeks and you salvage future seasons. Rush her and risk a catastrophic setback that could shelve the game's most bankable attraction for a year or derail her trajectory entirely. It's a gamble the WNBA cannot afford, yet one it implicitly invites by allowing unchecked physicality to persist. Adding to the stakes, 5 of the league's 8 most watched broadcasts this season featured the Fever. Take those fixtures off the marquee, and the average telecast sinks to 555,000 viewers, below last year's pre-Clark baseline of 670,000. That regression destroys the storyline of continual growth the league has touted to investors and media outlets. Television partners notice, so do negotiators preparing the next rights cycle. Veteran players, some initially resentful of the spotlight hogged by a rookie, are reconsidering their stance as they witness the domino effect. Fewer viewers equal smaller escalators in endorsement deals, and a harder fight for improvements like charter flights and expanded medical staffs. In locker rooms across the league, murmurs have shifted from "she gets all the press" to "protect the revenue." Self-interest is a powerful unifier. Parents of young fans see another side entirely. Outside arenas, lines of grade school girls clutch posters and replica jerseys, praying for an announcement that Clark will suit up. When she doesn't, confusion replaces excitement, and many families vow to skip future games until they know she's safe on the floor. Grassroots fandom, the seedbed of any sustainable sports enterprise, wilts quickly when its hero is in street clothes. The league's inaction recalls cautionary tales from other sports. In 2019, the Mystics' Elena Del Don battled a back injury during the finals. Ratings dipped 11% and rebounded on her return. The lesson seemed clear: protect stars to protect momentum. Somehow, with Clark drawing unprecedented mainstream eyes, that lesson evaporated. Instead, the WNBA doubled down on physical parity narratives, allowing opponents to brand "welcome to the league" elbows as legitimate defense. The price tag for that philosophy now arrives daily in Nielsen sheets and seat map snapshots. There is an obvious path forward: institute automatic reviews and escalating suspensions for reckless contact. Make the standard crystal clear and enforce it without apology. Market skill and rivalry, not dramatized hostility. Publish officiating reports that admit missed calls and outline corrective steps, rebuilding trust with a skeptical audience. Finally, treat player health as a broadcast asset by investing in top-tier sports science staff and smarter scheduling, the same evolution every major men's league adopted once rights fees surged. Skeptics argue that emphasizing a single superstar undermines league parity, but parity means nothing without an audience to witness it. Protect Clark now, and rising talents like Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, or Aliyah Boston will inherit a more invested fan base. Fail to act, and the WNBA risks shrinking back to the pre-Clark era of half-empty arenas and niche streaming windows, sacrificing long-term growth on the altar of short-term bravado. At the center of the storm, Clark remains publicly gracious, crediting teammates, signing endless autographs, deflecting praise. But every rehab session reminds her colleagues what's at stake. She dragged the league into mainstream conversation through skill and charisma, not marketing gimmicks. The least the league can do is ensure she leaves the court upright. Whether the WNBA chooses to evolve or double down will become clear the next time Clark suits up. If officials clamp down early and the game flows, ratings will surge back and sponsors will exhale. If the first hard foul goes unchecked, cameras may catch more than a wince. They might capture the precise moment a golden opportunity slips away. The clock is ticking, not just on Clark's recovery, but on the league's credibility. This crisis was preventable, but it can still serve as a turning point. Embrace professional standards, shield marquee talent, and the recent audience boom becomes a baseline for even greater heights. Ignore the warning, and the league will continue lurching through boom and bust cycles dictated by one athlete's medical chart. In the brutal arithmetic of sports business, protecting the star isn't favoritism, it's survival.